Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel. Several other channels have picked this up. Davos 7, the scariest movie ever. I had to check it out for myself, and here's my little report on it. Who wants to join ASGARDIA, the first space nation? Here's the website. There are currently 194,519 Asgardians, and you can join this space nation. It says here, for the first time in history, a new nation state has been created, not on Earth, but in the heavens above. ASGARDIA is the prototype of a free and unrestricted society which holds knowledge, intelligence, and science at its core, along with the recognition of the ultimate value of each human life. You can join like-minded people on this new exciting step in fostering an extended future for humankind. The journey begins. You have contests here, you have different contact information. In the concept section, they have a little blurb here. What I found interesting is this line right here where it says, modern evolution and intellectual progress can best serve the humanity, that's weird, when decisions are taken primarily on a scientific basis. In the future, our children and grandchildren will take for granted what for us is unimaginable. Unimaginable, that idea of the human imagination being at this pivot point of creating a precipice for humankind. Again, it goes right back to the days of the Tower of Babel, when God clearly said that nothing that they imagined to do will be impossible for them. This is where we're headed. We're definitely in the days of Noah. Remember, Noah was still alive when the Tower of Babel was created. And then it finishes up here, ASGARDIA, named in honor of an ancient mythological city in the skies. We offer an independent platform free from the constraint of a land-based country's laws. It will become a place in its orbit, that's weird verbiage, which is truly no man's land. Welcome to ASGARDIA. And they're planning to launch an ASGARDIA satellite in 2017 to 2018 to coincide with the 60th anniversary of the world's first ever satellite in orbit. And the whole idea of not restricting technology in this space nation. You know, if you look at this logo, it's really interesting because you have the Earth here, you have the sky, and you have this part here that definitely looks like the Eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye, or at least part of it. And then you have this symbol here, the Tree of Life. But this is very familiar because last year we made a video about a story that came out of a Swedish artist who came up with the concept of a Earth flag. And this is what the Earth flag looks like. And clearly, this flag for ASGARDIA has that centerpiece from the Earth flag. And again, this represents the Tree of Life. In Kabbalah, it's an occult symbol that is being used to represent Earth and humankind. And part of that story that came out last year is that they wanted to eventually have colonies on Mars and everything. And what did we just hear Obama announce in the 2020s or 2030s or whatever? They want to get to Mars. And that's been a big push here, especially with someone like Edgar Mitchell, and then him being part of the names mentioned in the Wikileaks email files. This is very deliberate, I think. This is obvious that they have a plan to go to Mars, or allegedly go to Mars. And, you know, in my opinion, there is already, whether it be another world, okay, because here's another possibility here that I think people are missing or forgetting, is that, you know, another planet or another star, it may not operate in the exact way we think it does, but there are other worlds above us, in a sense. And I think these ideas that sound crazy, like a jump room to Mars, it's possible that things like that exist, okay? I have no hard proof that something like that would exist, but we have the stories, we have rumors, we have stories that we hear from people that were part of some organizations like Lockheed Martin Skunk Works in the 60s, 70s, 80s. And so we don't have hard proof of this kind of thing, but I think there's enough there where there's got to be something going on. And there's some kind of development, portals, whatever you want to call it. I think it connects to CERN. They want to try to do this at a mass scale. You have, you know, the X-37B, which is supposedly up there, flying around over 500 days, allegedly orbiting Earth. You know, that sort of thing is very, very interesting because why is there so much infrastructure being developed? Why is, back at the Davos meeting at the beginning of this year, there was a guy saying, oh, we're going to colonize space. It's going to be the next thing. We're going to mine space for resources. We're going to mine comets, things like that. There's industry being built. There is infrastructure being built. But you know that somebody before has already been out there to investigate. In other words, By the time Columbus came to the Americas, and, he's credited as being the guy who discovered America. Well, was he really the guy to discover America? Well, no, you have the Vikings who allegedly came, 500 years before Columbus ever did. You have all these other stories of people groups going there. So perhaps this is similar in that, there are some people who have already explored, especially when the technologies became available, and I would argue post-World War II, but definitely leading up to the turn of the 20th century when, a huge technological boom happened. So all this going back to this idea of promoting this new space nation, this is the New World Order. This is like part of the co-opting of the people to be a part of this system and to support this. And I really think there's something to it. Revelation 12, some of the passages there are very deliberate, and I think there's something to it when it comes to the Obadiah passage. Again, this has to do with Esau and, those who nest among the stars and have pride, right? The Lord will bring you down. There's something there, I think, that speaks to this generation, this time period, in a cyclical, prophetic manner that I think we should take note, and we should keep an eye on this, because this has everything to do with all the stuff we've talked about in transhumanism, all the stuff we've talked about with all the New World Order stuff and the whole agenda, 2030, UN Sustainable Development, all that stuff here on planet Earth to create that prison system here, while those who are privileged or those who are loyal will be part of this nation, this new world that will be a part of this space-based nation, which, again, unlimited technologies, which means they will have enhancements, they will have genetic, probably some pretty nasty stuff happen, all for the benefit of the future of humankind. So this stuff isn't science fiction anymore. This is really happening. There's billions of dollars being poured in, and people are just asleep at the wheel. They have no clue that this stuff is going on. At the same time, they're, maybe setting up a good excuse to leave the planet anyway, because they're trying to set up this nuclear war between us and Russia, and they're trying to hinge upon all the stuff happening in geopolitics to, again, potentially set off a nuke, create global chaos. Good time for the technocrats to try to leave this planet. So that's what's in the news. This is how crazy our world has become. This is how insane things are. And I think we have to be, as Christians, know the time we're living in, know the season, and know our duty. What do we need to do? We need to share the gospel because time is running out. We need to get people saved, and we need people to wake up to these realities. All of these things tie together. This understanding of biblical prophecy, not every detail, but just the climate, the season, understanding that Jesus Christ stood for something much more than just a redemption from whatever. No, it was actually redemption from the ultimate end of humans given their sin nature. And this is where we are at. We are at this point where man has been gifted with technology and has been gifted with this particular knowledge that has increased tremendously in the last century, and equipped with this knowledge, we are going to do some evil things because we have sin in our hearts, and Jesus has to put an end to it. Otherwise, all flesh would be destroyed. So there you go. ASGARDIA. I'm not going to join. I don't think you should either, but let's keep an eye out for this. And, again, great topic to discuss with your friends and family about these bigger issues. Have an awesome day, guys. God bless.